Historic humiliation for Ukraine, historic embarrassment for the North Atlantic Alliance. In the Russian Federation, they can't believe it. The Russian military intelligence. He even had to take off his glasses and everything. Seriously, they've just given us this huge gift. It turns out that Ukraine recently received a visit from the Secretary General of the North Atlantic Alliance, Mr. Rutte. Mr. Rutte actually went there to give the respective speech he called for strength. Spring will come. Ukrainians, hang in there. As we would say, in Russia, we don't have money, but we give all our support. We're going to back Ukraine and really back it. But the most important part comes next. Of course, the presentation of the damage that the terrible Russian Federation has caused in Ukrainian territory could not be missing. And the presentation of the damage turned out to be an absolute gift for the Russian Federation. Indeed, in terms of military intelligence. This is what you are seeing and what Mr. Rutte is about to show us live and in real time. Of course, I've dubbed it for you because how could we miss such an opportunity to once again show how stupid they can be? The end. It has been received from Instable and to Shield travelers who will contribute. Great turning point. That's what It's from Last Facts. A scallion of control, as we call them here at the front. I remind you that as a war correspondent in Donbass, I am indeed reporting to you from Donbass here. These images have been especially significant for the commanders, especially for those involved with the military intelligence of the Russian Federation. An unparalleled gift because basically, after the attacks that Russia has carried out in the Kyiv region, especially in the city of Kyiv, but also in a number of other regions in Ukraine, well, these electrical substations in many cases have become absolutely unusable. And by the way, I'm here in Kyiv, says Mr. Rutte. We will see his statements in a moment, but what I'm getting at is that these substations and these power stations have, in many cases, become absolutely unusable. Ukraine can repair some, but it will take time. The blackouts are happening at these substations and these power stations. Then what you need to get, ideally, because you can't always do it. Of course, these are objective control images from the scene, meaning they are images that can confirm it, how forceful, how decisive, and above all, how effective the attacks in question have turned out to be. So, by providing these images to the Russian Federation, Ukraine is actually giving them a unique opportunity to adjust the map of future attacks and to understand exactly what the consequences of their actions have been. Missiles of different calibers, missiles with different characteristics, have indeed been launched against absolutely key targets on Ukrainian territory. And now I will leave you with Mr. Rutte, who will give you the final presentation and who will show what's behind him. Something that the military intelligence of the Russian Federation will analyze practically by the millisecond because it represents a huge gift for several entire departments of Russian military intelligence. I mean, this is inconceivable what these tremendous idiots have done. I can't wrap my head around it. It's total madness. Let's listen to the handsome guy who's going to tell you how beautiful Ukraine is from the inside, because he actually went there. What we don't know is whether they're doing Russia a favor or not.
I'm here in Kyiv. I just arrived this morning with a small NATO delegation. We had good meetings with President Zelensky. I was at the Rada, the parliament here, and we'll have more meetings later today. But this is a heating plant that heats 1,100 of these large apartment blocks in Kyiv, up to 500,000 people living there. Last night, 5 Russian missiles hit this plant with no military aid involved. It's just to create chaos and fear among ordinary citizens living here in Ukraine, and to destroy civilian infrastructure again, with no military impact at all, just to create that fear and chaos. But the Ukrainian people will not break. I'm also here to make it clear once again to the Ukrainian people that NATO stands with Ukraine. We are helping by training and supplying military equipment to Ukraine. Ukraine and NATO allies must remain in the fight. The United States and the Europeans are working together to make sure that security guarantees are in place. So when a peace agreement or long-term ceasefire is reached, Putin knows any renewed attack will face a devastating response. That is crucial, and Ukrainians want a quick peace agreement, but it must be honorable and recognize their future sovereign rights. So, again, working hard to achieve that. My respect for the Ukrainian people and NATO is with Ukraine now and in the future.
Thank you for holding on. As it has been said, NATO is with Ukraine. You have to hold on. And indeed, well, these are very difficult times. And with these images, the difficult moments for Ukraine are becoming even harder. I don't want to do this either. Too long to answer, Mr. Rutte. It's as simple as quoting the North Atlantic Alliance itself in 1999 when they were bombing Yugoslavia. We've mentioned this here countless times. When NATO said that if Milosevic wanted his people to have access to electricity, water, and heating, all he had to do was comply with the conditions that were being imposed by NATO. He essentially had to surrender, which directly applies to the Ukrainian case. If you want the war to stop, then all you really have to do is sign the agreement with the Russian Federation. But in the meantime, Ukraine is receiving, according to NATO, absolutely unbeatable help. Truly unparalleled aid in the form of these images. Just think about how stupid the people from the North Atlantic Alliance can be. They're not only showing you Rutte with a bunch of rubble behind him, which, well, okay, as some kind of questionable surveillance footage, but they're also giving you this whole damn panoramic view that, honestly, do these people even know where they are? I can't believe it. Please forgive me. Maybe it's my expressiveness, but I just can't contain my amazement. I've seen a lot of things working as a war correspondent here on the ground. There are so many people who call themselves journalists and end up revealing classified information. They end up sharing key information without being careful, but well, at the end of the day, they're still journalists. Many of them just don't know how to be in a conflict zone. And honestly, there are some rules that a lot of people don't know about because not everyone has that level of common sense. I mean, in military terms, okay? I can understand it from the perspective of people who were civilians until just yesterday. And after all, it happens to me too. But well, thank God I've had good advisors. But, well, people who have been civilians until recently find themselves in the middle of an armed conflict and have to learn as they go. But damn, a freaking Secretary General of NATO? I would expect him to have some basic idea of what he should or shouldn't show on screen. And there he goes, showing an entire power station, a lay. So there you can see what Russia has launched at it, how accurate the attack was, and the consequences that have happened at the site. Absolutely everything. They're showing it to you with close-up shots from farther away, from here, from there. I mean, the amount of information is incredible. They just handed it over to the Russian Federation just to make Rutte look good. But you see, what importance could it really have at this moment? As for the response to these statements, well, of course, anyone in the world with a bit of common sense already has it, honestly. They themselves, from the North Atlantic Alliance, set the precedent. So now don't come crying to me when it turns out that attacking or influencing civilian infrastructure, which actually provides absolutely key support for the military, is happening. Because you can't separate which part of the electricity goes to the factories and which part of the electricity goes to the homes. I mean, with one part they produce drones, with another part, yes, the population lives, but part of that population also works in the factories, and part of them, in turn, produce drones. In short, it's impossible to make any kind of separation by attacking the energy infrastructure. And the only thing you could do is not attack the energy infrastructure. But that would end up prolonging the conflict and would actually do an even greater disservice to Ukraine itself, which is supposedly being defended by the so-called NATO. I'm going to throw a question out there. Who exactly are these gentlemen defending? And honestly, I don't know to what extent it's a rhetorical question or not, but I'll just leave it there.